Hello ENG3, this is your TA Clay. We're gonna do a tutorial today on how to connect a screen to the Arduino and read a value from a temperature sensor. This is the final product, but we'll go step by step. So I'm just gonna reset the board. We'll display a little notification and then get a temperature value. The next step is to understand what are all the different parts of this circuit. This right here is the Arduino Mega. Now, for all intents and purposes, that can be considered to be just the same as Arduino Uno, at least for the purposes of this circuit. Now, this is the screen, 16 characters across by 2 rows. That's where we're displaying temperature. You may hear it called an LCD for liquid crystal display. This is a potentiometer. That's going to allow us to adjust the contrast. So you can see if you turn it too much, you can completely wash out the screen. Maybe turn it back to about there. Now this is the analog temperature sensor, and if I squish it in my fingers, should be able to heat it up a little bit. Okay, maybe not. This temperature sensor is chattery and maybe completely broken. This is one of the advantages of using Tinkercad, is that your parts will never break. This is the only temperature sensor I have, and it's good enough for the purposes of demonstration. But yeah, let's not put too much faith in the accuracy of this reading, at least for now. Next, let's look at the code. So first, we include the library liquidcrystal.h. That is a header file, and that simply allows the Arduino to communicate with the screen. So next, we're going to tell the Arduino which pins the screen is attached to. And there's a lot of pins right there. It looks like 6 of them. We'll take a look at that in more detail when we build the circuit step by step. Next, we need to define which pin controls the analog sensor, or listens to the analog sensor more aptly. So that's going to be analog pin 1. Okay. Next, we're going to take a look at the setup code. So you notice that in Arduino, we have these 2 features in almost every code. We have the void setup, which runs once, and then we have this loop, which runs continuously. Can we have other functions? Yes, but these are the most standard ones. All right, so first of all, we're going to set up the LCD, start the serial monitor, print a message to the LCD. It's like a little welcome to make sure that it's working and getting the messages. And then we're going to delay for 1 second, which is 1,000 milliseconds, and then clear the screen. Okay, that brings us to the loop. So this is the part of the code that runs over and over again. There's really only 3 lines of code here that are doing the work. The first one, we're reading the analog temperature sensor, and when we analog read a pin, that gives us a value between 0 and 1023. The reason is because it's a 10-bit analog to digital conversion. That gives us 1024, or 2 to the 10 possible values. But inclusive of 0, that means the highest value we can actually achieve is 1023. Don't worry about this stuff if you're not very familiar with it. You can make this circuit and get really far in Arduino without needing to know that much theory. That's the beauty of it. All right, so next we're going to convert that to a voltage. How do we convert a number between 0 and 1023 to a number between 0 and 5? Well, something like that. All right. Next, we're going to convert that to temperature. So this is an equation that you'd have to look up or find in the Arduino book or on a website. But for this temperature sensor, the equation, we convert to voltage, we subtract 1/2, and then we multiply by 100, and that roughly converts our analog voltage to a temperature in degrees Celsius. All right, so we're going to display the temperature on the serial monitor. Then we're going to display the temperature on the Arduino screen, delay, and then clear the screen. Let's recap. First of all, we did some setup, set which pins we're connected to. That was right there. First, we included a header file or a library file, tomato for the purposes of this class. Next, we set up our LCD screen, our serial monitor, tested the screen by printing this simple welcome message. Then we read the sensor, got an analog value, converted the analog value to a voltage, then converted the voltage to a temperature. Finally, we displayed the temperature on the serial monitor and then displayed the temperature on the Arduino screen. Hope that covers the code. There's many ways that this can work out. We can get very good results using different code. This is just one way of setting this up. All right, so we have connected our first pin. That's going to go from over here, and it's going to connect to the blue rail, which is grounded through this black wire. Next, we're going to connect the next pin to power. So this pin is adjacent to the one we just worked on. I'm going to get another short red wire and connect that one to 5-volt power. Now we're moving from left to right. I'm gonna skip around a little bit and put on a potentiometer. This is the device that allows us to control screen contrast. So you notice it has 3 legs. One will get connected to ground. The opposite one will get connected to power. So we'll actually connect the one to power first. We'll ground the other side, and then after that we will connect the middle one to the screen. Okay, so this will connect with a green wire from our wiper pin, as some may say it, the middle pin of the potentiometer, over to the 3rd pin from the left. Next, we'll connect the pin to the right of the green one that we just worked on to digital pin 12 on the Arduino. This is one of the pins that's going to convey data from the Arduino to the screen. How do we find out that it's digital pin 12? Well, it's labeled on the board. It's just a little bit hard to see with this angle. Next, we're going to take another small jumper wire and ground the next pin. So we have to work that one in there. Let's see, there we go. Okay, why are both these pins connected to ground? I don't know. You'd have to ask whoever designed the screen. The next pin we're going to do is going to go to digital pin 11. So that's just one lower on the Arduino's digital bus, and then that we're going to connect right there. Next, we will skip 4 spots, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to leave 4 of them empty, and then we're going to connect another wire to the Arduino's digital bus. This one's going to go to pin 5. And there's 3 more pins that we need to use to attach to the Arduino's digital bus. This one's going to go to pin 4 and simply come underneath of here to the next pin on the screen. Then we're going to have a pin connect or a wire connect to pin 3 on the Arduino, another digital pin, and then come over here, and then our last digital pin for sending data to the screen is going to be on pin 2, and we're going to connect it. All right. Next, we're going to take a 220 ohm resistor. So the color code looks like red, red, violet, and then gold gives us the tolerance essentially. It's not really relevant to the value of the resistance. And we're going to connect that directly to power. So that's just going to jump right there. And then we have one more pin to ground. We have 3 pins directly grounded. And we're getting to have a lot of stuff going on there. So don't be intimidated by this circuit. It's a good amount of wires, but nothing complicated going on. Let's go. Okay. Good enough. All right, next we're going to put in the temperature sensor. So this is our LM35, and I'm afraid that mine, or LM36 perhaps, I'm afraid that mine may be slightly broken, but I'm just going to seat it over here. And I'll tilt it a little bit so we can see. Next step is to connect the temperature sensor to the rest of the circuit. The screen so far should be finished. So the left leg is going to go to power, You probably noticed I moved this pin a little bit, or moved that wire a little bit. I just didn't quite like the contact it was making. I just moved it over another node on the breadboard. So the left leg is going to go to power, and the right leg is going to go to ground. Let's see. So a very important thing is with this temperature sensor that we wire its correct pin to ground and its correct pin to power. If we wire those backwards, it will actually get hot on us, and maybe that's what happened to this temperature sensor. I'm really not sure, but that's a pretty surefire way to mess up the temperature sensor and maybe even burn a little hole in the breadboard. So be really careful with this. You can always just Google TMP36. I guess that's actually the name of this temperature sensor, TMP36, like temp 36, and then you'll get lots of diagrams that can help you get that straightened out. So finally, the middle leg of this temperature sensor right there, that's going to go to pin A0 on the Arduino, and that should be that. Finally, we just plugged it in, and we can play with the potentiometer a little bit until the screen contrast is just right. There seems to be an issue with the temperature because it's not 86 Celsius in here, but I think this sensor is broken, so we're not going to worry about that too much. The bottom line is you get some idea about how to go about wiring up a screen with a temperature sensor and a potentiometer. Hope that was helpful.